So what the hell is going on in Las Vegas? Nobody knows. You can't tell me anybody knows. Talk about dysfunction. And this is something that's really interesting. No, people don't really talk about Mark Davis and dysfunction the way they do Woody Johnson and dysfunction. I would say Mark Davis has been way more dysfunctional than Woody Johnson. Has Woody Johnson been good? No. No. But Mark Davis, I mean, maybe Mark Davis maybe people just like him personally, has a better personality than Woody. But, I mean, look at everything that guy has done. I mean, from the John Gruden mess, then he had Rich Bisaccia. Should have probably stuck with him. They get rid of him. Then they bring in Antonio Pierce. That was a disaster. Not enough experience for Mr. Pierce. Antonio Pierce really needs to be a defensive coordinator he needs to get more years of coaching under his belt. You know what I mean? And then that turned into disaster. Now you have this. Pete Carroll looks like he's one and done. But what did Mark Davis do? The one bright thing he did, he sold a minority stake to Tom Brady, and Tom Brady has a sterling reputation, even though he really should not. But because he won 7 rings, this is football, and not the people in this chat, but 75% of the football fanatics, they're not that bright. Let's be honest. They're probably below average. I mean, the people in this chat, they're above average. You guys, you're above average. But so they just look at it and say, well, Tom Brady, 7 rings. I mean, he's a sterling. What a great upgrade to your program. Get him in there. And what does that do? It takes the stink off of Mark Davis. Because now, whenever anybody talks about the Raiders, they talk about Tom Brady as much as they talk about Mark Davis. Tom Brady wants this. Tom Brady, we don't know what Tom Brady wants. But it kind of takes the stink off of a Nepo. I mean, Mark Davis is a Nepo baby. He just inherited the team from Daddy, Al Davis, the real Maverick. So's Woody, of course. But he didn't inherit the team, but he inherited a fortune that he then went and invested in the stock market, which was a smart move. Hedge fund company, the Johnson Company. At least he didn't waste it all on hookers and blow. So, but, nonetheless, that's a smart thing he did, because now anytime they talk about the Raiders, they talk about Tom Brady, which is much better for public perception than talking about Mark Davis. But Woody could do the same thing. Not with Tom Brady, but he could do it with Curtis fucking Martin. Curtis Martin is the head of a PE firm. They could sell 1%, 2%. He could sell 3% of the team. Get the cash. That's a lot of cashola. I mean, not for Woody, but for you and me, that's a lot. And then you have Curtis Martin be the face of the franchise more. Everybody loves Curtis Martin. All reports are Curtis Martin is beloved. He's great with people, very smart. And wouldn't you want Curtis Martin to be the face of the franchise rather than stupid old Woody? I mean, the public perception would be much different, but he refuses to do this. And many, many of the team's owners are now selling private equity percentages, 3%, 5%, 10%. I think the Patriots sold 10%. And what that does, it gives to the principal, it gives them cash. Why is cash important? Cash is important because of signing bonuses. Signing bonuses are important to keep your cap hits low. Cap hits are important so you can get more players on your roster, you see? Good players, not the bums we signed in the summertime. So, all of this should be a lesson to Woody, but he doesn't seem to be interested. I mean, it's the most logical thing ever. Put Curtis Martin out front. Curtis Martin's the perfect front man for the Jets. Perfect. And I said this months and months ago. Nobody listened. Nobody cared. Have whole videos about it. But that's what they should do. Because public perception is very, very important. What gets written about your team, the videos that get done with the mainstream media, it's very important because all of that has an effect on the public. I mean, look at poor Joe Mike. He's influenced very strongly by the mainstream media. They say something and woo, goes right into the brain. And now he's all worried about $10 million Aaron Glenn because the mainstream media made him worry about it, because that's what they do. That's their job, to make the Jet fan worry, because then it's click, 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 clickety click. So, and there's many, and Joe Mike's not the only one, of course. There's many, many, many Jet fans just the same, exactly the same. So, man, we could very easily start to change this whole thing around if Woody would just be smart enough to sell 5% of the team to Curtis Martin. It's 5%. He can keep 95% and basically change the perception of this motherfucker, which is very important when your team is in the toilet and nobody gives a shit and is saying they should be relegated and you can't hire people and nobody wants to work for you. I mean, it's crazy. He could change so much. And not only that, you could change the quality of the team by having more cash available. I mean, I don't think people really understand how much of a game changer it is to have the Walmart people owning the Denver Broncos. The Walmart people. Walmart is the greatest cash cow in the history of the world, pretty much. I mean, maybe there's some Chinese company, I don't know. But Walmart we're talking about cash, straight cash, homie, which means they can spend it. They don't have, it's not tied up in buildings and property and land and what, it's cashola. They can spend that cashola on player signing bonuses, big ass signing bonuses, to give players lots of money, which they need to do, and then not take a huge cap hit. Cash over cap, it's called. And so anybody who thinks, the Miami Dolphins, for example, can just follow the Denver Broncos model, you're going to be mistaken when it comes to Tua Tagovailoa and Russell Wilson. Denver Broncos had a lot of unique circumstances to get them to where they are right now, including acquiring Sean Payton and an ownership change that includes the biggest cash cow business in the history of the world, probably, which helps you. So, I don't know, man. But all that to say, we don't know what the hell the Raiders are going to do. They're the biggest wild card team in the world.